Hello, good morning, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Robert. This is Destination X. Kind of feels weird saying good morning because I literally just filmed a video in this same location 12 hours ago, but I ended up camping here for the night. In that video, if you watch that, it was like my introduction to my new to me 98 Tacoma, and I just broke down like, classic rig walk around. But in that video as well, I mentioned that I would be filming another video shortly that would be released right after that one, and it had kind of a special meaning to it. So this is a video I've been wanting to do for literally a year now. I just didn't know how to go about doing it, and I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I wanted to do some form of tribute video to two people, Matthew and Stacey from Toyota World Runners. If you don't know who they were, Matthew and Stacey were from Vancouver Island, where I live in British Columbia, Canada, and they started a small YouTube journey back like during COVID with their old mid-80s Toyota pickup, and then Stacey also had like an 85, I think, 4Runner, which was gorgeous. And they just, started off very small YouTube channel during COVID, like I said, and then it honestly eventually blew up, and they got pretty big on YouTube. They went down all the way down to South America and did full on like 1 hour YouTube videos just documenting their whole travels, and it's cinematic, it's gorgeous, it's everything. And they seemed awesome. I personally never met Matthew and Stacey, but I like to think of myself as one of their first subscribers, because when they started out, I found their YouTube when they had only, I think it was like their third video they had posted. It was a cabin in Nanaimo that I had been looking for so long. I knew about the kind of area it was, but I just couldn't pinpoint it on Google Earth or going out and trying to find it, anything like that. But they had posted this video, and it was them going to this cabin. I'm pretty sure it was their third ever video posted, and I was working at that time. I was working hospital security. I was on night shift. I was bored, so I was just Googling everything, YouTubing everything, just happened to come across them. And like, even though it was their third video and they're still kind of awkward and stuff, there's just something in Matthew and Stacey that really stuck out to me. I feel like I spent a lot of time on YouTube, especially watching like off-road videos and seeing how people do their thing. But they were unique in a way that like they seemed authentic. So much of social media, YouTube, all that. One of the reasons I'm not a huge fan of filming videos for YouTube or when I go camping and off-roading is because it just seems so planned and, fake at times, where like obviously you have to go set up a camera and then drive past that camera. And it's just, I don't know, it's crazy. But they had a way of going about everything that seemed authentic, and they themselves, although like I said, I never met them, just seemed like genuine people. They're about the same age as me, I think maybe a year older than me, grew up an hour away from me. One of their best friends I grew up with when I was younger. Started seeing him in their videos. I was like, oh my god. And then, yeah. As you can tell, this video is not fully planned out. I don't have notes or anything to go off of. I'm really just trying to think of what I want to get out about Matthew and Stacey. Basically, about a year ago, early August 2025, they were going on a off-road camping trip in the mountains of British Columbia with a few other people, and during that trip they tragically lost their lives along a cliffside. And when that happened, it really like messed me up in a way. Like, this was a couple I obviously did not know personally, but I just, at this point, I have so many little connections through them, and I just followed them for so long that yeah, it messed me up in a way that like obviously it was just tragic and sad that happened. It still is now, but also like it made me think about my own life and everything, with like my own off-roading adventures, and like, do you ever want to take a girl with me again? Like, I'm scared. Or, I don't know, little things like that were going through my head. And also the day that it was released to the public that they had passed away was like 2-3 days after they had actually died, and it was the day that I was going on my biggest trip for the summer last year. I literally woke up, I was like getting ready, and then I just happened to look at Instagram, and there were all these posts about it, and I was about to leave for my big trip. And also, in a weird way, the places I was going to on my 4 or 5 day trip were all similar places that they had just recently gone on one of their last videos posted. So that was interesting. And I just, yeah, it really like messed with my head for a long time. I couldn't stop thinking about it. And then that's kind of what brought me to actually deciding to get this truck. If you watched that previous video of mine, I briefly mentioned, while I was sitting in my chair, I briefly mentioned that I would talk more about in the next video about why I decided to get this truck. And part of it is to do with Matthew and Stacey. I've mentioned multiple times now, I did not know these two, but just the impact they've had on me is interesting. And in that video, I also mentioned that like I thought maybe one day I would own an old Toyota truck, like maybe as a retirement project or something like that. But with their passing, I was like, I had one of those, little moments that I think people have multiple times throughout their life where they're like, it just kind of clicks in that you're like, oh, life is short, like no more wasting time, like do everything now if you can while you're young. So I was like, I wanted a Toyota truck now, and in a way to like honor them in a way, but also just because I've always liked these trucks, and then I just don't want to wait and potentially never get the chance to own one and drive one. Going off of everything with Matthew and Stacey, as you can see behind me, there's a tiny little A-frame cabin here. Gorgeous view. Even crazier view, honestly, behind me in the front of the truck. There's snow-capped mountains this way and everything. Unreal. I did a hike up here last night. Crazy views. Lived on the island my whole life. Might be the best like mountain views I've seen. But the reason I'm up here and the reason I decided to finally film this video here is because this cabin itself is another one of those places on the island that I have had marked down for so long on random people's Instagram posts I'd see. I would save into a folder, or I never saw this one on YouTube or anything like that. But I kind of knew the area once again, but I just could never find it. And I do not like being that guy that messages people and be like, hey, where is this? Can you tell me where this is? Because I hate when people do that to me, honestly. And I take a lot of pride in finding stuff myself through Google Earth or seeing photos and like basing it off the ridgeline of the mountains nearby. I take a lot of pride in finding stuff myself. So the reason I chose to film this here is because this cabin and the hike I did last night up above here is all thanks to Matthew and Stacey. One of the things I appreciated about their videos is they explored the more smaller known places on the island and around BC and everywhere than other YouTubers seem to do. Like, they truly were just like locals, in my opinion. Like, they went to the small unknown places that people like myself prefer. And this is one of those ones that, like I said, I could never find. And then when they did their video of them coming up here, I was able to identify where it was. So thank you to them for that. And then again, in their video as well, they did the hike that I did last night. Pretty sure they also went at sunset, and it was unreal. I am jumbling my words throughout this whole thing, and I bet I will from start to finish, because like I said, I don't have any notes written down. I'm just going with the flow. Like I said, I have been wanting to film something or do some type of post. I don't know what. I didn't want to do like clickbait, like use their name as a clickbait way to get views or anything like that, but I truly enjoyed Matthew and Stacey's videos. So like I said, I've been wanting to do a video or some type of tribute, a post, whatever, for a year now since their passing. I just didn't know how to go about it, didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. I didn't want to use their names in a way for like clickbait, like a way to get views or anything like that, because I think that's so disrespectful. And I found a couple videos like that people had posted that their caption was something like remembering Matthew and Stacey, Toyota Road Runners, like literally all about that. And then you watch the video and there's nothing about them, and it's just these other people off-roading in their Jeep. So I wanted to do a video for about a year now. Didn't know how to go about it. I figured I would just do, because I'm thankful for them and the places that I personally have been looking for so long but can never find or identify. They had multiple videos where they went to these places, and I was like, oh my gosh, like once they posted the video, I was able to identify places, specifically this cabin, and then there's another waterfall up island I need to go to. Also with their videos too, I don't know how to say this, but like they didn't seem rich. There's a lot of YouTubers, whether they're local people or they're bigger around the world down the States, that they'll be like, oh, this is a DIY project, and then they put $100,000 into a vehicle, and they have like a full lift in their garage at home and stuff. They're like, I'm not a mechanic, I've never done this before, but they have all this stuff. I'm like, okay. But then you would watch Matthew, and he'd be like, out on just like random dirt road or on a beach, and his like axles would give out, something would give out on his 40-year-old truck, and he just would be like, yeah, I'll find a way. There's like an old video where they took they had bought like a Volkswagen Jetta and driven it out North Island to the beaches up top by Port Hardy, and they had like hit a rock or something and it ripped off their oil pan, so they were totally screwed. And he ended up making a DIY oil pan just out of a beer can, and it's like, sign, like that's lacking in life. People don't do that anymore, and I don't know, I loved watching them. And even though I didn't know them personally, it was weird how many times I crossed paths with them in a way. Vancouver Island's, it's not big, it's not huge, but it's also not small. There's so many areas out here. For being on an island, there's unlimited amount of places you can go to camp, explore, everything. And yet I crossed paths with them 3-4 times. Like I just happened to be in the same area as them. I hate myself that I never went up and introduced myself or anything, but life goes on. You can even see me and my friends in the background of one of their videos when Matthew's like wheeling up this riverbed, and we're just like all watching, standing off the waterfall watching him. As I was filming this, I kept thinking of little random things I wanted to add in, so I didn't really film in order of how I wanted to say stuff. Hopefully when I edit it, it'll all make sense. So everyone that is watching this, if you don't know about Matthew and Stacey or their social media accounts, Toyota Road Runners, consider honestly subscribing and following them. I believe it's Stacey's sister now runs their Instagram account, and she still shares the odd thing on stories and everything, which are nice to see. And then even go back and watch their videos, because the ones down in South America are crazy because they're movies. They're like so well done for like not being a professional photographer or anything. Like I believe Matthew did a really good job at editing those videos and everything. But then even their local ones here, whether you are aware of Vancouver Island and all it has to offer outside of Tofino, like some of the places they go here are crazy that I personally don't like to give out. I don't like people to know about, but the fact that they don't. There's a hummingbird right here, so that might have gotten the mic. The places they went to are just amazing in so many ways. That just really, they did a great job at highlighting how beautiful Vancouver Island is. So I recommend you go watch some videos, give them support, throw some comments, everything. Do what you can. That'd be awesome. And finally, where they tragically lost their lives out by Trout Lake, BC, there is a petition going around to keep the trail open. People, I don't know who it is, if it's the province or if it's local to Trout Lake, they're trying to close down that trail. I think multiple people have had injuries or crashes there, and then of course Matthew and Stacey lost their lives there. So I think that is becoming a big reason why they're trying to close it. But Matthew and Stacey's closest friends have shared their thoughts on Instagram about this, and they believe that Matthew and Stacey themselves would want this trail to remain open. So I'll put the link in my description if you want to sign that petition to keep that trail open so other off-roaders can enjoy it. This is like the third time I've tried to film this clip without tearing up, but I finally just wanted to say thank you to Matthew and Stacey for all the memories, all the adventures, everything. I think you inspired a lot of people outside of myself as well. Ever since they got big and ever since their passing, you've seen more and more people, especially local people within British Columbia, pop up on social media that are like getting into older Toyotas, and it almost seems like they're doing it because of Matthew and Stacey. So I think they really inspired a lot of people, and they truly did live their lives to the fullest, which I don't think a lot of people do anymore. So that was amazing to see for so many years. So Matthew and Stacey, thank you for everything, and just little montages for you guys.
If you have the dream, that's amazing. Like literally, if you have a dream, that is brilliant.